Hey everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm playing in my handmade junky art journal. It's made from leftover paint papers and sometimes there might be some jelly prints in them. And yeah, I used all that kind of different stuff that I had laying around to make this journal. And there is a tutorial available and I will link that up. I think in the end cards or in the video description. I'm starting by adhering some collage papers, and this is an old book page which I have painted with watercolors. And what I found interesting with this old book paper, it had a resist to it, and the watercolor didn't want to stay on the paper, so I rubbed it quite hard to get that down, and that gave me a really lovely interesting texture. And that's why I really like using old book papers and I love using different ones. And I also experiment always. There is one that I also made. And I also experiment a lot with using watercolors because some of them work amazing with watercolors and you can really use them for painting. Of course, you have the book texture on the background. And I did that in the past, and I think there might also be a video about that on my channel, but that's a quite old one. I will see if I can find it and then I will link it up to the top right corner info box. And some do not really work with watercolors, they don't look good, and some are a surprise, just like this book paper. And I'm really glad because it's a very big book, so I have these papers I think forever. Next I'm using some kind of a rice paper, and that is stamped with acrylic paint. I used a texture stamp with acrylic paint to stamp it. I feel when I make collage papers, I prefer acrylic paint for stamping because first it gives me a bit more of a painted look. Everything is a bit different. It's not as perfect or boring maybe as if I would stamp it with usual stamping ink. And also acrylic paint is more versatile. It's permanent. Once it's dry, it goes with easily with other acrylics. And it goes with a fixative. So if I use it in a mixed media work where I maybe use a fixative at the end or during the process before or when the background is finished, then it's nice to know that it will not bleed with the fixative, the acrylic paint. So that's also a pro. When I use stamps with acrylics, I make sure to just clean them right away afterwards, or I just throw them in a bucket of water and then when I have time, I clean them, but I would not let them sit long in water, not for hours and hours, because I'm not sure if the material likes to be in water forever. I'm using a glue stick to adhere my papers. That's what I usually do. Sometimes I use clear gesso to collage, but only when I have thin paper like this rice paper or an old tea bag. By the way, if you are looking for some brown transparent paper like the one I have used here, you can use an old tea bag. Just keep the tea bags once you've used them, let them dry, and then get rid of that herb inside and you can use it for collage. I did that in one of my past videos. I'm not sure. I think it's not only for members. I think it was a normal video. I will try to find that. It's not an old video and link it also in the top right corner or in the end cards. I'm now going to cover the spread with some clear gesso to save that paper a little bit. It's a bit difficult because I have that watercolor book paper and watercolors will react with liquid mediums like the gesso. So I try to work quite quickly over the top of that to not activate as much watercolor, and I try not to touch it too much, but you can see that the clear gesso already turned into green here. Just try not to overwork it, and then it should be fine. Once I'm done with the gesso, I'm going to let that dry completely, of course. Usually the clear gesso does not take a lot of time. I think within half an hour or an hour you should be fine. But of course you can use a hairdryer to make that process a little bit quicker. I am now going to add some mark making to the page using Neocolors, and I pick a color that goes with the colors on my page. I really like that soft pink I had on the book page, and I just grabbed this crayon because the color matches so well. I really like the Neocolors for mark making. I use them all the time. If you are regularly watching the videos, you will know that. Here I'm going in with the darker pink because I think it works quite nice together with the yellowish tones on the page, and that brings in some really lovely a value and a tonal range. I now use a brush with a little bit of water to blend the Neocolors. That's a technique I also really enjoy using. I love that you could use this medium dry and wet, and that it's so versatile. You can make a watercolory background or gouache background, and then you can draw with them, and you can smudge them just a little if you want to. And I think they are the best medium to get started with in case if you are a beginner and you have no idea where to start and what to buy. I would definitely recommend a white gesso, a clear gesso, a set of Neocolors. I would put together maybe your favorite colors and buy them open stock, or if you have the budget, I personally would recommend a bigger set of them. But that's why I use almost every Neocolor. Not, I have a few that are not used quite often, but I use the most of the colors in their sets, and I use them a lot also in my sketchbook for sketching and not only in my art journal. So I personally would buy a bigger set if you have the budget. Otherwise, I would just go for open stock and start with the colors you love the most. And here I'm using that Art Graf Tailor Shape crayon. I love this one. It's a watercolor crayon. And you can see it's super opaque. It's the best way to make white splatters. It's the most opaque watercolor I have, and I have quite a bunch, I would say. And it's so versatile. I took it out for sketching. I use it in my art journal. I use it for water droplets. I use it for drawing over any material, and that the white will be light and opaque. I will link that up in the description. It's called Art Graf Tailor Shape. I now let that page dry, and I'm trying to bring in some contrast with a black piece of paper. And at this stage I wasn't sure where to put it and where it looks good. And just in case I get the question again why I paint a background and then cover it up, I don't know where the process takes me while I'm doing it, and I always go from step to step without any plans, and that's why I make the background, and then I might cover up parts of it because it looks good and I like it. And it does not help if I have a wonderful, lovely background and I would just keep it like it is and then never finish the page. So sometimes you have to cover up stuff that you like. Of course, I always try to see on a background that's an area I don't like, then I maybe cover up cover it up with an element, with collage, with another layer of paint or whatever. But sometimes the composition looks good when I put a certain piece of paper in a certain area, then I do that. Don't be afraid to work over a beautiful background. It doesn't matter, you can create another beautiful background. For me, art journaling is really getting into the zone, into the process, and that's also why I do not record videos and then talk through the video. I tried that in the past, but I cannot do it because it's so hard for me to get in the zone and then talk through the process. That just does not work, and it's not very fun. So I don't enjoy doing it. So I'm doing a voiceover afterwards, and tell you the important things. The dotted paper you saw, that's some handmade washi tape. I've used a water activative tape, and then I printed it with the jelly plate, and that's it. There are 2 tutorials already here on my channel, and hopefully I will not forget, but just search for handmade washi tape and my name and you will find it. But I will try to now put it in the top right corner info cards, or maybe in the video description. Please check that out. I hopefully will not forget to put these links down. For that washi tape, I've used one of our brand new stencils, the dotted stencil. It's one of my favorite kind of patterns, a dot pattern, because I always use it in my work. It's harmonic, I feel, and yeah, it's to my brain, I really like circles and circular shapes, and that's always something I tend to use. Talking about dotted patterns here, I'm using a stamp from our Pencil Marks number 8 stamp set, also brand new, and it has that dot pattern on it. And I stamp it to the background a little bit with black ink. You will find a link to the blog post of this page. It's on our shop blog, and there we have some photos and close-up images for you. And I think usually I will also link up the video for the art journal and the video for the washi tape in this blog post, so you can find that there in case you do not find it in the video description, because sometimes it's just, I think, a bit overwhelming to read all that stuff in a video description. Well, I try to get that organized so it's a bit more easier to find things, but sometimes it's a lot of text. So the link to the blog is quite above in the description. So I think you will find that first. I'm adding a few bits of collage paper. This is some paper, I think it was from Die Cuts with a View, and it's quite old. Not sure if this is still available. It's just some vintagey looking paper. And here I'm adhering my focal images. I made these in one of my I think in the last video maybe, where I made these collage fodder elements, and there I also made some of these focal images, which are also made with the Pencil Marks number 8 stamp set, and I use jelly prints to stamp them. So in case you want to see more collage work, then just watch the video from last week. Again, I will try to link it now in the top right corner, or maybe that's in the end cards. Just have a look and see what you are interested in. I decided to add a few more texture by stamping, and that's a number stamp from the Mix It Up 7 stamp set, also a brand new stamp set with all kinds of different textures and stamps that works great for mixed media projects. To finish that page up, I'm using that black tailor shape from Art Graf and just make some black splatters to the spread. I thought that might fit the page very nicely. Yes, and that's my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it and you liked the art journal page, and I hope I could inspire you a bit. Hopefully we will see us next time. I wish you a lovely rest of the week. Bye.